Good evening, Mr. Tom. How are you?
I'm good, Mike.
Good. Yeah, this is the first last Nerdom. We are coming at you live today, and we have quite a bit to talk about or cover. At least I know I do anyway. You're probably just gonna be like, yeah, let's go on, Mike. But yeah, we are Mike and like I said, Tom, and we do this weekly thing called the first last Nerdom, where we cover a main event and then we talk about it, what we liked, what we didn't, how we took it, that sort of thing. Um, but before we do, I do want to get into our bona fides here and then put us top and center and plug some things that you have done. I want that to be big. Yep, there we go. So our last week we did Talk to Me. Um,
hmm
Very fun. Well, not no, not fun. Fun to watch in some ways if you are into horror. But a different kind of take on things. Was very proud of that one. And then you had covered just about 10 days ago. This was like one of your special ones. You did Jeff Johns' new comic line.
Yeah,
Have you? Are you still keeping up with that one?
yeah. Well, they initially had the three
Oh,
different
just
comics
that's
that
right.
came
That's
out,
right.
and
Yeah.
then later on, since it's monthly, we won't get anything for another month or so.
Right. Right on. Right on. Yeah, and of course, going all the way back to our Ringu, a ring. I should just say ring, but anyways, and I did hop on live real quick for a quick non-spoiler review of Civil War. I was compelled to. There it is. I was looking at the because we're live now. That's the one we're doing right now. But anyway, Civil War. I'm seeing a lot of mixed baggage for the most. I see good. I also see kind of like people are like, nope, not for me. So I don't know. Who knows where it'll stand the test of time? The only thing I saw was that it won Friday, but those are the only box office numbers. So I don't know. I did watch a longer thing. It was just kind of interesting, like the inside baseball cinema and like how A24 operates, and some of the things I already knew, and some of them I didn't. But this is one of their biggest budget ones, so
Yeah,
sometimes they don't. They sometimes the big budget A24s just don't do. And some of the criticism is like they don't know how to end the movies. That's like a playful kind of like critique in a thing, which isn't
yeah,
untrue. It's not wrong, depending upon your perspective. But I hope that they are successful because I've compared and contrasted. We've kind of done this before. Like I think they're headed in a better direction than the general bigger studios. Because bigger studios you just don't know
although
what.
although they may have kind of misstepped a little bit because
I've heard that
I was
too.
I was turned off by the trailer, and then
Hmm.
I heard good things from you, and then I also watched another podcaster I like, Morning Somewhere. Bernie Burns, he did his kind of rundown of it, and he said that he enjoyed it, but the trailer set it up to be a different movie, and he said that it's actually a much different movie than he thought it was, and that it
Hmm.
was actually very good. But the expectations that he got from the trailer is the thing that appealed to him, and he was disappointed that it didn't address it, and it was the thing that kind of turned me off from the movie. And then I hear
Hmm.
that's not even part of it. So
Yeah, and we're not even really going to get into it, but yeah, I have heard positive. I've heard more positive talk than like
mhm,
super negative talk.
yeah,
Obviously, I come from the opposite end of the spectrum, but I've also heard I've heard it work some ways. So like, it would be cool to have a conversation later, or hey, tell us what you think. Why did you not like just like Tom, like maybe where the trailer actually did its job and showed you what you thought or whatever? Did you go see it? What do you think? That kind of thing. And I hope that we get reaction or a conversation going. And I think we spent enough time plugging. Also, um, Tom is our footprint on Twitter. So please go subscribe to Tom on Twitter and spark a conversation. I'll no doubt probably see it. Tom knows where to ping me at if there's a bigger, wider conversation going on. But you might notice something a little bit new in our. Well, I guess I don't see it now. I don't see it on our thing, but well, I'll pull back in a minute here as I wrap up our plugging. But also, as our home base is on YouTube, that's soon to change from the standpoint of getting our website up. I just need a few more weeks, and then I got to do some backporting out from or massively growing. What are we, 190? I think we're gonna have to do something special for 200, maybe we'll see. But in any
Yeah.
case, and I did also want to mention. Now, I did not put out my review on. I did put out the video on our main channel here, but I also I do ApeIt.Ink, ApeIt.Ink, and that's more for like kind of a catch-all for everything that's not nerdom, maybe a little bit of news, a little bit of politics, a little bit of technology or whatever. But I did felt like that was the right platform to put my review of what I thought of Civil War, because I did go to see it. And I won't read the thing on there, but anyway, without further ado, we are gonna hit up this one that I had asked if it was okay for Tom and I to go into. This one is solidly kind of akin to Civil War. Like there's like a bunch of movies, and it's a trope at this point, like where it's more apocalypse or more dystopian or some combination, or outright we lost the war. And this is what we get with Captive State, which what were your overall well, I'll set the I guess I'll back into it here like poorly. But I'm just gonna put us up on the big screen for a minute here. But this is about John Goodman is the biggest star of the thing for sure. And it has to do with like 10 years after we made contact, we were just overwhelmed, and we capitulated very quickly. So this is 10 years under the occupation of aliens across the world, United States primarily, in Chicago. This is where it takes place until now.
Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some people are cool with it, and some people aren't.
Yeah, I heard the one of the things that I kind of heard in getting ready for this was it's not an amazing movie, but if you wanted like a solid base hit or just something different that was not in your main repertoire, this is probably the best movie you've never heard of as far as that goes. Like I kind of got the vibe that it wasn't like award winning. It was more of like video of the week kind of thing. Like if you stumbled across it, you might be pleasantly surprised or you might hate it. But I
And
don't think,
that's how you would have to find it, because the studio didn't really back it.
no,
They
no.
just kind of dumped it out, and it's like, okay, here you go. And it didn't do as well. Yeah, you would think, it would have got a little bit of traction. I mean, it's an
I
interesting movie. It ticks all the right boxes for a lot of the studio people. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm surprised. I guess this is kind of like, and this is kind of like what we do. We find these recommendations, and I don't know. Did you overall like it, or did it vibe with you, or were you like could care less? I guess, or where do you fall down on the like love
It's
hate?
it's okay. It's
Is it all
sort
right?
of like it harkens back to a lot of different other better movies like
Yeah,
District 9 and
yeah, I agree with that.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and well, I mean, the idea of alien invasion, it goes all the way back to that old TV show V. You remember that from what was it, the late '80s,
hmm
early '90s?
yeah. The ABC
Mm-hmm.
one, the V. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Yep. Which I think is getting another reboot. I
And
think.
they did. There's two reboots out there. There's the original one in the '80s that you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, and then there's one that they
Mm-hmm.
redid in the '00s, I think. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, this is this 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 did it in a very interesting way. It has layers. It has complicated things. Obviously, the biggest name attached to it is John Goodman. And I did go back. I don't think Rupert uh Rupert Wyatt is the director. And
Yeah.
I was before the pre-show, I was just looking over what I always do that. This is writing producer credits, not his or writing. Sometimes I get
Uh-huh.
that mixed up sometimes. Anyway, he did The Exorcist, which is probably the best rated thing on his resume. but he also did Rise of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's what I know him from.
Yeah. And I don't think
Mhm.
we covered this one, correct? Right? I think didn't we
No.
cover
Yeah,
we covered the other
we
two.
we did all of the apes, which
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
we probably did all of them very poorly, but
Yeah, well, we can
because
always
we try
revisit
to,
too.
yeah, we tried to do all of them, and yeah,
That's James
it's
Franco.
yeah.
That's verboten now. You can't say James Franco. I'm just kidding, but no, just all joking aside, he's a solid director. Very interesting how they played this out. But again, John Goodman, Ashton Sanders, who played the young lead, with the
Mhm.
pretty much the dude that we follow from the get go. And
Except when we don't,
yeah,
and then
except for when we don't, right? And
and
then we switch over weirdly to
mhm.
John Goodman, or which makes sense after you kind of see the movie. Um,
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 but yeah, they always mention Moonlight when they talk about Ashton. Evidently, he does a fantastic job in that movie. I think it's an A24 movie.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors, and then the one that I did that nobody talked about when talking about this movie was, and she had a very not a super minor part, but I was looking at the Gyllenhaal, one of the Gyllenhaals, the she played in Batman, and the thing I can't find her here. She was the I guess she played a really minor role. You know what I'm talking about though, like the kind of the not love, but I would say the emotional support to John Goodman, who eventually gets,
Yeah.
she's kind of cornered as the. I'm surprised they didn't. Well, I guess Maggie Gyllenhaal is what I remember. I was just wanted to make sure because I'm always insecure about, who's in the cast and doubting myself and saying something completely idiotic because it's not the case. But I just wanted to say
No,
why. I mean, am I
no,
crazy here? I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
no. Vera Farmiga is in it. She's in the Psycho TV series, Bates Motel.
You know what?
She's pretty
I'm
good.
wrong. I'm wrong. That's her. That's her.
Okay,
I don't know why I think that she
that's
looks like Maggie Gyllenhaal, but apparently I thought she did. But and that's why we don't make the big bucks. So, well, Tom does. I don't. But Tom could doing this thing. But anyway, all joking aside, no.
Mhm.
So I wanted to say I had some of my notes here. I had quite a few notes. This reminded me of a Heinlein, a Robert Heinlein book. Not one of his more well-known ones, but it's called The Sixth Column, and it's not has nothing to do with aliens, but it has to do with the United States being taken over by um, by uh, some Far Eastern alliance, whatever,
Mhm.
and then they just roll over America, like kind of like how Captive is, but the story kind of picks up in that timeline and then has this cabal of, like, a few folks who are pivotal in kickstarting the revolution, and that is very similar to stupid. I need to turn that off. It's very similar to Captive State, to like what we get in that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of sad that it's kind of more of a hard sci-fi kind of thing, and studios don't really want to do those too often, and then they just kind of dump them like this and say, "Well, we tried." And, it's kind of
right.
sad that even if it's not doesn't hit it out of the park. We should have more of stuff like this as opposed to your next brain dead superhero
Yeah,
movie.
unfortunately, and this happens, and this is pretty much a lot of the movies that we cover, or a good portion of them, where it was made, the movie was perfectly adequate, maybe even good, punching way above its weight, but for whatever reason, bad timing on the box office. This one was one of those just like that, but it's also reminded me of The Creator, big budget film with
Hmm.
Gareth, whatever his face is. I'm gonna say Edwards, but it's not him.
I think.
Gareth, go ahead.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Gareth, whatever. But good solid director. He's going places for sure. But again, nobody knew anything about Creator at all. You know, I did see it now after we reviewed it a few weeks. I
Yeah,
guess it got kind of got
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
Yeah.
Edwards. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, that's why I say I'm always insecure about the name, because just like I said, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Nope, Vera Farmington or whatever. Or let me do Veering Farmiga.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I apologize. That's bad on me. But anyway, um, yeah, this is kind of like, there's just like this kind of this trough of decent enough movies, but they either don't make the cut for longevity, or they're just kind of, just spun out to streaming land where they're just
Yeah.
gonna be buried, I guess, and die.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. This could have benefited from being like a series or something, because
It could.
they never really expound upon everything.
No, they
You
don't.
just kind of tease things, and then they don't. They just didn't have time. That and you got to appreciate it not being a 3 hour movie.
Well, and I like the fact, I kind of like where they leave you in the dark a little bit. I agree with you. This could have definitely been a very killer, mini series maybe. I don't know that it would gone. I don't know about maybe more than 2 seasons. You really flirt with disaster for some. I don't know. It's hard to say nowadays because you don't really get the big 26 long episode seasons anymore. It's more like half dozen, maybe a few more, and then that's it. I guess it's just the world we live in, I guess. But nevertheless, Captive State, I really enjoy this from the sci-fi standpoint. And it had a lot of great, fascinating layers I don't know if maybe you saw everything coming ahead. I didn't see everything. I mean, you can kind of see like when it's gonna,
Yeah, when it's gonna
go to
pivot, but yeah.
right.
Um, yeah, no. I watched some of the YouTubers do their reviews on it. It's kind of interesting how they they there's wide different takes on it. There's some people that love it and some people that hate it. And I always get a kick out of people that only know John Goodman from his comedy series, and then they finally see him in a serious role, and they go, "Wow, John Goodman can act." I was like, "Yeah, we all knew
This
this."
is even one of his better ones, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think. Excuse me. I don't think there were any really super bad performances in this. I think everybody, did the best they did with what they had. But
Hmm.
John Goodman, it's like he doesn't, but I didn't feel like he was phoning it in either. Like, unlike some other later stage career things like Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, I don't know if you know, but he knocked out like probably a good 10 Netflix no name movies. And they are what they are. Not very good. And he's pretty much the only reason to watch. But I didn't get that scene, that impression. I still felt like there was good quality there. Um, Jonathan Majors is in it, which I just kind of mentioned before, like pre-show. I didn't even put two and two together before that. But for the most part, everybody shows up. They do. It has a compelling. It would be interesting if this would have been done maybe a little bit longer. Maybe, I don't know, not 3 hours,
Yeah,
but like you were saying, like more of like maybe a
yeah, yeah. Kind of
three-part series or something. I don't
yeah,
know.
how the main guy kind of dips out of it like a little bit into the movie, a little further into the movie. It makes you wonder if they re-edited it, whether or not they had to cut a bunch of stuff out.
Kind of felt like that a little
It
bit.
kind of hurts the movie in that sense. You lose your main focus for it, and then you kind of get lost a little bit with the
Yeah,
with all the backup characters coming in the foreground.
I felt like there was like a tug of war with it internally. It felt like it was kind of caught between like a, boots on the ground, look at our this is the insurgency and how it's, versus like trying to be a bigger, broader, hard sci-fi epic,
Hmm.
which it could have, but it kind of didn't know where it wanted to be, from just looking at it. Not everything is all gold.
Hmm.
But it did take a very interesting aspect on it. I think to be if I would go into the more critiquey parts, I think the aliens were a little bit more kind of bland and generic. I guess
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed at like you're thinking like, well, Jesus Christ, like there must be some kind of formidable kind of alien that just like swept in, and it's pretty much like they probably would have been better if they never showed them, to be honest with you. Just
Yeah.
to kind of keep that in a mystery. Put the curtain over it, and then
Hmm.
maybe you see a shadow, or I think teasing would have been better served than you actually see them and you're like, what? I mean, there are different versions of them. If you're a sci-fi nerd, if you want to get down to it, like there's
Hmm.
like the general purpose, kind of like they have like a outer shell.
Hmm.
That's and these aliens are not so much mechanical, or technological. They kind of use the Yusung Vong, like if you go to the expanded universe for Star Trek, that's kind of what the whole point of what the Empire was spinning up to, was to fight this other power that was outside the galaxy to get in. But they were not. They didn't use technology like humans do. They use like they were more biological, kind of like Dune a little bit, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah, yeah, they
that's
kind of stripped away or digital.
Yeah, they had it. So
Hmm.
it was a very interesting concept, that humanity had not gotten dumber, but the kind of the mechanisms, and we're like 21 minutes over. So if we go a little bit of spoiler territory, you've been warned, I guess. But just some kind of the plot devices, I guess, is what you call MacGuffins.
Hmm.
Like the how explosives are. I'll just kind of put it that way. I guess I don't have to spoil it too much, but it's very interesting how they did that. And then like you kind of you I would say that it tripped me up a little bit for like what was coming next, but like toward the end, like when you I'm not gonna give it away, but like it's pretty much the final 5-10 minutes of it. It kind
Hmm.
of comes together, and then you kind of see a character, I'll just call him a character, and then you see them walking toward the where they're gonna go and meet with the, legislators, is what they call the aliens. And then you
Hmm.
kinda see, like, you get the hit of light, and you kinda see that this character is covered in things that, are, like, "Oh, shit." You kinda see that, and there was a little bit, after the acting is done, they kind of roll into it a little bit more, a little bit longer.
Hmm.
It basically is kind of like Judgment Day. It kicks off the human resistance, if you want to get
Hmm.
to things like, I hope I don't see a sequel to this. I hope I don't see a prequel to this. Maybe if they want to explore it a little bit in like a smaller screen,
Hmm.
maybe that would work. Um, but
But the fact that it did only did 8 million, I think we're safe in assuming that
It's not going to
this
happen.
this is dead.
It's done. It's dead. It's firmly dead.
It's dead, Jim. It's
Yeah.
dead.
This is very true.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, we're gonna have to we're sentenced to watch IP franchise shit for the rest of our lives.
Uh, Now, the one mystery I was very upset that it didn't cover was whether or not what Ninja would look like with the low taper fade.
That's funny. Yeah, this one, I think it's a good I think it's a good pick. Like I said, movie of the week. There's movie of the week isn't saying much because there's 51 other weeks of the year. But if you don't know what to watch, like this is an easy slide into it and
Mhm.
see what you think. Um, I don't want to I don't want to dwell too much time on the build up, but like they're in and out. They don't spend very much time wrapping up the investigation. I guess that's kind of by design,
Mhm.
but very it just didn't have the space to really kind of elevate what they were doing. To maybe if they had another half hour or 15 minutes,
Mhm.
something like that, maybe they could have kind of elevated what they were trying to do if they had a little bit. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, it had an interesting look to it. What did you think about the music?
I it was fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I didn't think it stood
Mhm.
out, if that's what you're asking, to me
Yeah.
personally. But
Yeah.
it was also wasn't a character in and of itself, like other movies that we've talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching this.
How about
These.
you?
I was watching these three people talk about it. It's on a YouTube podcast, much like our own. And well, one of the guys kept talking on and on about the music, and he got the soundtrack and everything, and I was like, it really didn't stand out to me. I don't know. I guess he just really enjoyed the music.
I did not get that from that. You want to talk about soundtrack? I got something from Civil War from their soundtrack, but that's because they
Hmm.
cheated and they were using, kind of very iconic, maybe not as well worn, period, from very specific periods of Americana,
Hmm.
but they do that for
Like who let the dogs out?
yeah, well, no, not quite that widespread, but it hit a little harder for what the subject matter was. Like here,
Hmm.
there is no music,
Hmm.
there's no anything. It's just like this is the world.
Hmm.
I think it attempts political intrigue. I don't think it nails it.
They do have a wall. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird too, like how
Hmm.
you're kind of again, you're cut very short in this. You're dropped into this world, in this universe, in this Earth, 61759b. Like it's kind of limited. You don't really
Yeah.
know the background. Like, you don't kind of they very quickly, brush over like where they're at, just set the table, and then it's off to the races.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's good that they don't go through and explain everything, all the minutia of the little world. That kind of let you kind of assume what's going on as far as all the gadgets and whatnot.
Yeah, and I had to I think what enhanced my viewing of it, like maybe a couple more, maybe a point or two at the end in tally was, I did not watch this in all one go. I watched about a third of it and then I finished it, or maybe I watched two-thirds of it, and then the next night I watched the rest of it.
Hmm.
And whenever I do that, I find that I can get a little bit more nuance and combustion out of it. Because sometimes, let's be honest, you put a movie on, you're not feeling it or whatever, and then you're like, well, I already started, and you just go through it. You might be at risk of losing some of the fine details when you do that, which I
Yeah.
try not to do. Like I try to give it a good fair watch, and if I can't be present, and I find
Hmm.
myself like wandering up for whatever, and it's not the fault of the movie. Sometimes it's just like I just fucking scatterbrain, scatterbrain
Hmm.
Mike, and then like I'll be like, I'll pause this and I'll come back to it, and then I'll have a better result. Like that's how I couldn't Batman, which Matt Reeves Batman, no way, man. No, I'm not sitting through 3 hours of that. That movie was so much better when you cut it up over time. Again,
Yeah.
kind of like I guess I inadvertently did what you recommended, which was a series. Like
Hmm.
I guess I kind of did. I did do that, but like some movies I think are better off like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and well, one of the movies I did that with a while back,
oh yeah, you did.
several years ago, was I watched the Village. Not that M Night Shyamalan, his Village. Not that it's hard to figure out, but I watched like half of it, went to sleep, and dreamed the end of the movie, and then went back and watched it. Was like, oh yeah, I guess I was right.
That's funny. That's funny.
But that
That's
was
when
that
you know
was
you're a pro for the movies. Like you are a pro, my friend. You are.
sometimes, but yeah, no, yeah, I like that for the thumbnail. I like that image with him with the red cloud and
I
everything.
just, yeah.
Yeah, it's very very cool looking. I don't know. I like the red aesthetic to that.
Yeah, I think there were aspects of this that how do I put it? There was real ambition, right?
Hmm.
What it didn't quite match the end result. I think it got maybe 50%, maybe 60% there. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you might be a little bit lower on that, but they did not hit it 80% or 70%. But I've seen far worse sci-fi movies. And this was solid enough to me. I mean, like I said, high praise for me being this would be the movie of the week type thing, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of those movies that in a few years they'll write those articles of cool sci-fi movie you've never heard of.
right, right. Well, and I am victim to these type movies anyway. Because I love my dumb it's got a cult following by now, but like Battle of Los Angeles, which we have yet to cover.
Mhm,
But and I know that Aaron, I know what people. It is what it is, but you know what? Damned if I don't watch that movie like once, at least once a year. You know,
mhm,
it's just so that and like one I like to follow back on is Dread, although I haven't seen that one in a
mhm,
few years.
mhm,
With Carl Urban, not Sly. That movie's great. A
mhm,
lot of these movies like have a very unique kind of following, and that's the best part about a movie is you can put it on anytime, anywhere,
mhm,
and you can kind of get that vibe again if it's for you, you know, or if
mhm.
you like to watch it in the winter or whatever. People build their own little kind of rituals around these kind of things, just
Yeah,
like any nerds do. I know I
yeah.
do.
We all have our classics, like Freddy Got Fingered. So
Oh, did you do you say that? Did you watch the? Did you recently watch the Red Letter Media thing on that?
I did watch that. Yeah,
I
I
did
that's
too. That's
yeah.
so funny. That's why. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was I usually do the red light, but I was requested to do purple, and the closest I could get was pink. So
All right. On. Well, it
I've
looks like
kind of
purple to me. I mean,
I've kind of thrown off our theme here of red.
it's okay. Oh well,
But
yeah. Well, I haven't changed that damn thing in like a week or whatever. Since the last time I did it, like I try to not do that if I have a meeting. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily want like lights going on when I'm having a work day or whatever. But like most people don't give a crap. But most of the time my camera's not turned on for the most
Right,
part.
right.
If I don't need to, nobody wants to be on camera more than they absolutely have to, unless
Yep.
you're selling something or it's a really important meeting.
Hmm.
Yeah, the John Goodman is a win. He was very compelling. The I guess I guess the best way to put it would be between my kind of tempering out our views here. It'd be a little bit of a mixed bag, I guess, but
Hmm.
that's okay. That's okay. Not everything is going to stick the landing. It's ambitious. It gets overly so. Does it deliver? I don't know. Not so much. I don't think. But does that mean it sucks? I don't know. Maybe that means it sucks to you. I don't know. But I would say give it a spin. I think that more people would get more mileage out of the creator, comparing these kind of these one offs that are kind of like laid low and they just kind of toss them, as it goes. But I don't even know. I didn't even shame on me for not seeing how much money they had, but that kind of doesn't matter. You said the box office did 8 million.
I think that's what it was.
Good grief! Good grief! Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, mm, you really got to be pumping these movies up, man. You gotta
I
really.
liked it. I'm an
Yeah.
easy win for this because it's sci-fi and it's somewhat original.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have dog shit acting. This did not have dog shit acting. No, even if you didn't like it, maybe there were too many minor characters, but that's kind of the nature of what they were going for. I do want to. I did like seeing the gentleman here, Ashton. So Moonlight for me would be an easy go watch that. Um, The Equalizer 2, no, I'm good. But John Goodman, between John Goodman and Jonathan Majors, he did a good job too in this. Really, I don't know
Yeah.
if he's canceled or not. I really don't give a shit. I'm still gonna watch his movies if he's has a career. Probably not, but
Him and James Franco could get together, do a movie, and have what's his name? Joss Whedon write and direct it.
Oh God. Oh God.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna be canceled the
What
movie, and it's gonna have all these people that are canceled. Gina
Carano?
Carano will be in
Yeah.
it, and yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Mark my words. But yeah,
I don't doubt it.
could be interesting. Could be a train wreck, but yeah. Now they just got to find someone that'll fund that. But
Well, it wouldn't be Kickstarter, but who
no,
knows? But
Indiegogo maybe. But yeah. So no, it was interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Majors. He's a good actor. But yeah, but yeah, who knows what his future holds? And one of the John Goodman, he's a pretty decent actor.
he's not going anywhere. Yeah. Well, hopefully 2024 will be kind to us and leave us alone and leave John Goodman alone. Not that he's anywhere near that stage of life, but you know,
Right.
we've had quite a few blows. Oh God, I'm not even going to go into discuss or the movieology of him. He's got infinite. Yeah, so I was just gonna the only thing I haven't done is kind of like just kind of cycle through. They were pretty they did a good job with the sets and that thing. And I think it made it cheaper to do that. Um just kind of how they showed it. And you really do kind of see it from this is why I say like it kind of some of these things that I don't know what I was thinking or what it should have been, but you get kind of like it's not really long enough for a noir type, like something is being solved kind
Mm-hmm.
of, but that's also integral to the plot, and if you say XYZ then you give away the whole thing, which I don't want to do.
Right.
Because it is buttoned up very specifically around this. They're creating a circle in the center. You're just not seeing the center when they tell you the story and they go around the circle. And then by the time you get around the whole
Mm-hmm.
circle, then you turn around and see, oh shit, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
and you can see it coming.
But a lot of the reviewers that I watched, they all said, well, a good portion of it is like, you gotta watch it twice. You gotta watch it twice. I don't know if you have to watch it twice, but
I
um,
I'd say don't watch it twice, and I think you'd be better off if you split it in two. And then over 2 nights, I think you'd have a much more positive reaction to it than like watching it twice, like because it might not grab you, and then it might be like murder trying to watch it. But I see what they're saying. Did they have
actually,
did they have some kind of like special reasoning to watch it twice, or was it really that convoluted? Do you think? I don't
one
think
of
it was, but
one of the guys did say he was dumb, and he was going to have one of the other guys explain it to him
all right.
after the show. So he only saw it once. So
Oh,
yeah, I don't know about his background. I don't know if he's has any special things with him or not, but
well, we're all special.
yeah, we can all be special. But yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. I always kind of find it fascinating. You know, we're in the YouTube sphere, so we're victims to critics as well. But I always find it fascinating going through, and every once in a while, I'll just pick some random movie. I did it with this movie, and then I did it previously with that Men movie because I wanted to hear different people's perspective of what they thought that movie was about. And then it's always kind of interesting to see a snapshot of the various reviewers and what they think and how they put together their reviews. Some are a little bit more flashier than others. One of them I watched was a couple of guys, just regular dudes, in their 20s, maybe early 30s, sitting in front of a green screen with that captive poster behind them, just talking
Mhm.
about their thoughts on it. And I found them interesting. And then, yeah, and for some reason, their comments, I looked at the comments, they were particularly harsh on the dudes. I didn't think they were all that bad, but their commenters weren't real happy with them. But yeah, and then I saw some older people that were probably like I said, kind of in our range here,
Right.
and that was one of the guys that was maybe not the sharpest cube
Mm.
in the stack, but but yeah, no. Here's a challenge for you. Can you find that podcast out there,
Probably.
you as viewers? Because if you got this far in our podcast, you may like watching crappy podcasts. So.
Yeah, I, I think and because it was a win for me, because I am such a avid sci-fi, I would say if your main genre is science fiction, particularly aliens or that kind of thing, I think you'll be happy with this. I think that if you're not into science fiction, it might be maybe more of a turnoff. You might you might be like, "What the did I just watch? Like, where's the payoff?" Like because they kind of don't do that. Like they don't. You're not getting payoff here. You're not getting the start of the war. You're not getting the end of the war. You're getting something that is like very intense for this short period of time, and you're kind of getting little tiny little wings that kind of barely set the plot in motion.
Yeah,
But
and
it's very
don't.
intense, and they do the intense very well, I think. Um,
Yeah, no, don't get us wrong. It's not Independence Day. It's not like nonstop action. It's not an action movie.
mm,
It's
there's no
more
action
of
in this
a
movie.
more
I
of
mean,
just
there
yeah
really is none. I mean, there's like
right.
three scenes maybe,
Hmm.
but and
Yeah. Yeah,
it
now talk about trailers. The trailer for this kind of makes you think it's going to be a sort of an action epic. So yeah, it's one of those movies
they
that
tease too
yeah.
much on the I know what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
just like down that little like the little weird looking thing there. There's also they show
Mhm.
robots. Like so you're like, what?
Yeah.
No. You'll be disappointed by the visual by that.
Yeah, some movies are benefited by low expectations. It's one of those movies where if you're flipping through your streaming channel of choice and
Right.
ran upon this and watched it, you'd probably come away very positive about it, just because it's some cool little movie you hadn't seen before, and it's one of those water cooler movies. I don't know if there's such a thing anymore, if we
Mm,
even have a water cooler anymore, where you'd be sitting around the virtual water cooler talking with your friends about
right.
the latest movie and kind of talk this up. This may be one of those where you go, "Have you seen?" and then
Mhm.
get your fellow comrades to watch it. But yeah,
Yeah, it has its foibles, but I think there's more good than bad. And like I said, movie of the week. I mean, that means there's probably 51 other better movies out there than that. But for what it is, I think it's head and shoulders above any of the normal drac that you could run across randomly. Like
yeah,
any top 10 bullshit on
yeah.
Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever. I don't know that you're going to get a better experience than you would get with this, like a known quantity. But
Yeah,
and
well,
and probably the less you know about this movie, the better it is for you. I'll just say that
yeah,
too.
yeah. That's what I meant by a low expectation.
Oh
If
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
if you
yeah.
have
You're absolutely
you
right.
know
You're correct. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, no, and for everybody out there, that this is someone's favorite movie of all time.
Sure.
There's enough people out there to where any movie is their favorite movie all time. One of the channels I like watching is Mind Pulp, and they intentionally play bad games, and they're always going. They're always kind of ragging on the game, and they go,
Mhm.
but we know someone out there. This is their childhood game. This is their favorite game of all time. We don't mean any disrespect. We don't need those comments says, well, actually, this is a work of genius.
I mean, I was 14 once too, man. I'm just kind of joking. Like that's kind of like I remember my first beer joke. And but all joking aside, you're gonna find something. And the thing is, the more important thing is that
Oh,
you're gonna.
that's cool. The little picture of the guy. It looks like I'm the guy there.
Yeah, yeah,
My head's in the hoodie.
yeah. The cool part is it reminded me a lot of a few different kind of sci-fi takes. Of course, the
Hey, we
world.
could kind of start assimilating if you lean a little bit towards.
Oh God, yeah. We can like merge or something. Oh Jesus Christ, We'll have to fuck around with that. Like, we'll have to like mess around. Like, well, we could do the high five thing. We could practice that while we're here.
Oh
Like,
yeah. It's always pretty weak.
you can tell that they're nerds because they're uncoordinated. Maybe I am.
Actually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I was just kind of just glanced over my notes. Um, you know, it's worth a watch if you're into sci-fi. I think it's absolutely.
Could have used a dance number. I agree. It could have
Yeah. Yeah,
used a
I
dance
don't
number.
I don't I think that this will be a slow bloomer over the years if it catches something.
Will it be a cult classic? Will it become a cult classic?
I would say no, because I don't know that we have cult classic in the way that we used to have, like with like, you had word of mouth, and then it was like months or weeks if you remembered to go track down XYZ, whatever, bikers from Mars, or whatever. I'm just making it up, but I don't know. I think there is like this is like one of those things that will stand around or stick around. Um there is a following for Battle Los Angeles, like I said, with Aaron Eckhart. And it's particular to sci-fi fans, action fans, and then people who were veterans, like veterans love that. I don't know what that is, but that's just kind of like another aspect of, like what your world is, like maybe it's Warhammer. I don't know. Maybe it's D&D. I don't know. Maybe fantasy is your friggin', that's your guitar and you're the main star in your own rock band. I don't know. But you can't go wrong with these kind of things. This is kind of fun. It's just a fun movie to put on and watch. I would say it's probably worth splitting up if you want maximum good benefit out of it. But
It's not that serious, bro.
yeah, I don't think I would argue with this one's. I think the IMDb is like 6.0, 6 flat. I might make it 6.25, but I don't have a quarrel with that reading.
I will say, IGN, that gaming site, they also review movies.
Oh, do they?
That was the one that was most positive. That dude loved this movie. He gave it an 8.5.
Really?
And he got me pumped up about seeing it. And then I watched it. I was like, okay, yeah.
Oh.
But that dude, I don't know what movie he watched, but it was pretty good.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Okay, if I would have done my review right after watching this movie, I would have had a lot more positive butterflies. But then, as kind of time, you kind of slide down that time, you kind of get to think about it a little bit more, and you're like, am I gonna go nuts? Is this gonna replace like one of the movies that I watch every year for all my weirdo nerd pantheon movies that I love to revisit? No. Could it have easily snuck in there like under the right circumstances? Sure, absolutely. But yeah, I mean you can't go wrong. But I think we beat a dead horse.
A dead alien. Oh
yeah.
Oh
yeah. I can get the damn controls here right. I was gonna say, do you while we're on the outway here on the hitting the exit door, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about? I kind of felt like we had a little bit more gas in the tank for covering the movie, aside from covering the movie. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I was going to do an interpretive dance, but I threw my back out, so I can't do that. I did get some comic books. I picked up some comic books.
Here, let me make you big dog.
Make
a big dog.
Yep, it's all indie comics. Let's see.
Yeah, this is the way of the world. Indie comics.
Napalm.
No
Lullaby.
way. Yeah. All right, you'll have to tell me offline what you think of that. Who makes it? What's the artist?
Rick Remender, and the artist is Bingle. It's an Image imprint, but yeah, it's Rick Remender. He's doing his thing. He used to work for the two majors, but he's been doing his own thing. He did a comic book recently with Andy Samberg,
Oh, really?
the actor from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He's
Um,
funny.
yeah, it's called Holy Roller. I wasn't really all that great or interested in it. Though it's one of those kind of remind me of it wanting to be a Garthianus book, but it didn't quite hit the mark for me. And then I got Uncanny Valley by Tony Fleece.
All right.
He did Feral, which me and Jay were talking about on our chat thing. He also did Stray Dogs, but this is basically cartoon characters come into
Okay, I
reality.
like it. All right,
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah, yeah. The kid's trying to figure out what's going on with his life, and he's part cartoon. So,
What was it? Do you
huh?
remember? Do you remember Adult Swim a few years back, where they had like the kind of like the trying to think of the name, but they had more realistic characters and they were vulgar,
Hmm. Uh-huh.
adult oriented kind of thing. You
Yeah,
remember that at all? What I'm talking about? I
I
can't
think
remember.
so.
I'll have to find it off. But
Hmm.
anyway, that looks cooler anyway.
Yeah, and then I got issue 3 of the One Hand. It's about a serial killer. The cool thing about this, written by Ram V, and this is written in the perspective of the detective tracking down the
All right.
killer, and
Noir,
then
right?
yeah, and then there's a another one that is being written by a different writer. I think it's Dan Waters, and it's told in the perspective of the serial killer. So you have two series kind of
Okay.
tied together, one from the perspective of the detective, the other from the serial killer. So
Hmm.
that's kind of an interesting concept. I don't think anyone's
I
done anything quite like that before.
No, I'll have to check that one out for sure. Yeah.
It's set in the future, so it's a sort of sci-fi noir detective mystery. So,
Right
and then
on.
the other one I got the Labyrinth,
Remember?
the
Okay.
adaptation of the movie.
Hmm.
It was a Marvel book that I guess they got the rights to reprint, and you got John Buscema doing the art of it. I think I picked up the original comic. I just was kind of interested that they actually were reprinting it, so I thought I'd just go
Interesting.
ahead and
It's good
grab that.
showing too. It looks like.
Hmm. So yeah, 4 comics, all indie comics. One was a Marvel, but yeah, yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards indie stuff recently.
Hmm.
Yeah, you gotta get that burnout on the old Marvel and DC. I'm more of
You,
a DC guy now, and I used to be all Marvel.
yeah. Well, yeah. I need to get in there at some point and do my thing. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a bring it up to the only thing I wanted to really share was just the I had it wrong. Just I get a couple YouTube pics. That like there's this channel called Panavision 70, and they do AI. So caveat, whatever. And they don't do it for very long. It's just kind of like a snapshot into an alternative universe. Some of them are terrible, but some of them are actually like I would actually watch that. I mean, you kind of got to give it a little bit of wide latitude, right? But
Yeah.
I've kind of stumbled onto it, recommended it, and the whole trope is it does it in the 1950s, like what it would look like, kind of thing, with Midjourney and whatever, all the
Hmm.
other AI bullshit. And some things it works. It makes you very curious what it could be in an alternative universe, but just kind of cool. Just kind
Well,
of cool.
once they get AI working with the visuals and stuff a little bit further down the road, maybe a year or two, you'll be able to make your own little versions of your
I
movies and
it
whatnot.
it it just kind of interesting because it kind of hits like the 1950s had and I'm going to turn that off. It's interesting to me because the 1950s had a very clunky kind of sci-fi feel to it kind of thing. And if you can hit that style, it works very well. And this is again, I think the video is only like a minute and a half, if that.
Hmm.
It's just cool. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I saw someone posted on Facebook a 50s or 60s version of Dune that was
Oh
kind of
yeah, I
interesting.
think that channel did that too. I didn't see that one, but I
Hmm.
saw the Terminator one. It made you know It looks like this is just a channel that's just pumping these out, like kind of
Hmm.
sucks because of quality. I don't know, but like the
Yeah.
Star Wars one, like they actually took a little bit of care to look AI, whatever. Da, da, da.
At least they moved away from what if Wes Anderson did The Simpsons? Wes Anderson did.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool for about five, but
Marvel
again,
super.
these are like little snack, little like kind of throwaway snack bites. Like what if?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
think yeah, I'm always kind of fascinated by AI, and obviously
yeah,
we
me too.
our channel has visually benefited from AI. We won't say that say any dispersions on AI, but
I
yeah,
think
there's
it's a tool. It really is.
yeah, as long as you I would never call myself an artist with what I do for the channel as far as thumbnails or whatnot, but
You are more
um,
than I am, my friend. You are more than
but
I am.
but I have a visual eye at least. But the so that helps me. But yeah, I think there's a very violent disconnect with artists, and I guess rightfully so. They spent their whole life doing this art, and then now here comes these people that whip stuff
Right.
up and AI, and in matter of seconds they have a quote work of art that is maybe stealing or using assets that someone else painstakingly worked over. So I can understand an artist's perspective on that, but I think for the casual viewer on Facebook, it can be fun to see different interpretations, and no one's making themselves rich off of Facebook for that, except for
Well, well, you know what? It's not. It's not our fault. It's none of our faults. It's not our fault that everybody wants to go to 8 second. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like there's a season for everything, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and you've talked about the success that you can have offline. I'm not going to go into it here, but
Uh-huh.
like there is success to be made if you're younger and you get it, and you're like my kiddos are in that Gen Z, whatever,
Hmm.
like they get it, and they can actually make money. Used
Hmm.
to be like when you came out of high school or whatever, or late
Hmm.
college or late high school, not even graduating, you get your job, or you standard. Okay, you could be McDonald's, you can do your nearest grocery store or your department store or whatever, work in the back or front or whatever. But now kids are making money off of making their own friggin' content. So
Hmm.
I think that's a much better world than the world that we grew up in my opinion, because the skill sets that require you to have a good eye for making a video, it's kind of just like jazz. You had there were far more not classically trained musicians that just did their craft because they picked up the thing and they had a knack for it, and just the natural raw talent for it. Jimi Hendrix is one.
Hmm.
Like numerous jazz artists too, for sure. But where they just picked it up and they went. That that's no different. It's no different than with the TikToks and the YouTube Shorts and Reels and all that.
With
That
them TikToks and
or the Facebook.
the Google. You gotta find it on the Google.
I'm not gonna lie. Every year I get older, I get more comfortable with just calling it the Facebook, unironically, and just for calling it the Facebook. But yeah, no, the thing is the dream is out there is to just go make your content, go make it.
Hmm.
That's one of the most powerful things that I know. A lot of the creators that we overlap and watch, a lot of the the good ones, the positive ones, are like, if you're not happy with whatever, it's not just about griping about what you hate or what you don't like. It's pick up the mic, pick up the video camera, and start. And that's been true for us. Although we've been inspired by different things over time.
Hmm.
That's just the fun part. And I'm looking forward to next week when we kind of get more into the groove. Like I kind of saw Captive State and I was like, I really want to watch that, but I want to cover it. I want to cover something sci-fi.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I'll just ask you this real quick. Would you ever? Do you see yourself actually like going to see a Civil War while it's still out, or are you going to wait for it to come down to earth and maybe watch it when it's streaming?
Yeah, probably wait till it gets closer to home.
Yeah, I think this is the one of the first A24 films that was opening up in 3,000 plus theaters, was
Hmm.
very unusual for them. But
Yeah.
they're not used to swinging that big, writing a big check for all the
Yep.
all the publicity and it's I want them to I don't want them to turn the corner with this movie and then become like every other studio. Their art house. I don't think we're in danger of that, but um, I would like to see make more. And I know some are hit or miss. We watched Zone of Interest, me and the kiddos. It's very
Hmm.
that is not a film you just. I mean, it's kind of heavy.
Yeah. You don't make a TikTok on it.
I mean, you can, but it's a different kind of vibe. But that's how that art house. It's a fucking art house, right? So you're gonna get something that is like, let's watch the flowers grow for half an hour and it's art versus like something that's dynamic and impactful and da-da-da-da. But anyway, movies are a very fun genre, and I know Tom and I love to explore them and find them. But so and stay tuned for next week, and we'll see where we go. And again, I've been Mike.
I'm Tom. Yeah. Keep it nerdy out there.
Keep it nerdy.
Actually.
Yeah, and we'll leave the light on for you.